Okay. All right. This semester, our group worked with Cafe Husovka to provide a social media and digital marketing analysis. And in our presentation, we'll go through the executive summary, the business profile, our social media overview, and along with the strategic plan and calendar of Cafe Husovka. Then we'll briefly discuss how we came across our campaign budget along with key KPIs that we were keeping track of, looking at the ad results, and then the reflections that we had over across engagement. Cafe Husovka is a local cafe that provides coffee and food to customers around Old Town. And their goal was to expand awareness about their cafe. And we realized that there was a high demand for these types of cafes in the Old Town area, both for tourists and local students. So we wanted to leverage that when we created our social media campaign. So when we were going through, we created a three-pronged approach for brand development. First is to conduct a thorough audit of their social media to fully understand their situation. And then second of all, to develop a strategic plan and set smart goals for the campaign. And then third of all is to execute those plans and review the results of the advertisements. So this was our team that worked together with Cafe Husovka for the semester.
Next, we'll go through the business plan that we developed for Cafe Husovka and go through what Husovka would need what we thought Husovka would need in terms of its social media. So in terms of Husovka's story, it is a cafe and event space located in an alleyway away from the main roads of Old Town. The basic ideas, unless you're lucky to stumble upon it, it's hard to find it just based off of location alone. That's actually how we discovered it in the first place. Husovka aims to provide a calm and comforting atmosphere for people to enjoy their coffees or food during the day, and an event venue at night, being equivalent to a music or bar space. So because we understood the value that Husovka has, our primary objective was to increase awareness of the cafe, introducing our store to local members of the Prague community and tourists. We hope to bring at least 50 additional unique customers to the cafe by the end of June. Now, to focus on who we wanted for our demographic, that was important because we needed to figure out who likes our product. We realized that we needed to look at people who don't just like coffee, but also the idea of a cafe as well. So we found that the best demographic would likely be young people from, their 20s and 30s that spoke both Czech or English for the business. As this demographic generally likes cafes, we found that they would be our best returning customers. So we based our personas and predictions off of it.
And next for our social media overview. Initially, from what we saw on Cafe Husovka, there was very little thematic and overall storyline for both accounts that it had on Instagram and Facebook. While we wanted to target it Instagram, we looked at both accounts. It seemed like they tried to rebrand in early December with a new logo where you could see some of these cartoonish designs. You can also notice that it mentions itself being a bar and cafe as well, with some of these beer photos. And you can see some of these tacked on cartoonish designs that were thrown into the mix that don't seem to represent what the brand was trying to be. Our goal was to try and homogenize these posts and make sure that they all follow a theme or a structure. And their aim that they told to us was to make an approachable cafe that acts like a family, where you can come and relax without making it too corporate and too detached from the audience itself. You could see here that the Instagram icon isn't the same as the icon or the logo that they're showing currently, which I'll show on the next slide. Here you could see the inconsistencies. This is their Facebook page. And you could see that the banner seems to be showing something else than what they want to be considered as, which is a cafe. It seems to be more of a party location, which it also is. It's an event venue. And as you can see here, these are some of the events. There's a poetry jam, and then also here something which doesn't really strike the audience immediately as what it is. I personally thought it was some sort of ballroom dance, but as you translate the page, you see that it's an improv night where there's probably improv dance and improv acts being performed, but it's not very clear. So you could see that the structure isn't very oriented with what they're trying to post. And also the lack of posting events on their Instagram makes it loses them impressions and also possible audience members that would be drawn to these sort of events. And it could be promoted a little more than what is shown here. And here you could see their redesigned logo that doesn't really go with their realistic other postings of coffee, beer, and their interiors. It seems a little one-off.
So our timeline, we on week 1, we wanted to start with a paid Instagram post, which you'll see in a couple of slides, as well as a paid Google ad that would have lasted for 2 weeks. And the objective here was to reach more local residents in Prague, especially students, and increase activity on the Husovka Google search, which didn't seem to have much activity before when we were looking into it. And then on to week 2, we wanted to have an organic Instagram post, probably showing off their baristas or cooks at work, and then as well as an Instagram story, which you'll see in a few slides. And the objective here was to show off what the cafe had to offer and hopefully get some engagement from their follower base. For week 3, we had a paid Instagram post planned to introduce the team members to make the page a little more welcoming and a little more personal to viewers and customers. For week 4, we had another paid Instagram post as well as an organic Instagram story to start to show off the venue aspect of the cafe, to hopefully bring in some different demographics that might not have engaged with the cafe content. For week 5, we had a paid Instagram post and organic Facebook ad to again show the venue and possibly invite those who might be interested in performing or hosting events. And for week 6 and 7, we were thinking of a day in the life Instagram post, again, to have a little more personal aspect to the Instagram than it had before. And then our big thing for those weeks was to introduce the loyalty program to hopefully convert the new customers into returning customers that we've already got. And here's our official social media timeline. You can see which parts of the ADA model each week targets, and we started out more with awareness and eventually ended with more action. And for each week, for each section of the ADA model, it sort of had a different measurable outcome that we could have had. So like for the first week, we wanted to get, our hope was to get 50 customers and 5,000 views. And then with the less expensive Instagram posts, we were hoping to bring in like 5 to 10 customers. And then for the team video, it was to generate clicks to try and get new people in looking at the Instagram, and so on. It's most of the ADA models have the same measurable outcome. So yeah. And then these are the planned Instagram posts we had. We have 1 Google ad and 2 Instagram reels, which I think look quite nice. And had they been posted, would have probably engaged a lot of people, but we may never know.
So when we were thinking about our how to campaign and our budget, and also like a key KPIs, we used the ADA model to kind of inform our quantitative analysis, starting with our SMART goal, which is generating 50 new customers by the end of the campaign, which sits at the action step of ADA. So we worked backwards, upwards from that action step to calculate how much money we should budget for our entire campaign. So on the right, we have brief calculations looking at it from both a CPC perspective and a CPM perspective of how we can calculate up the total budget needed from our target number of customers. For example, from a CPC perspective, we would take the number of customers, divide up the conversion rate to see how many clicks we would need to target in order to get the number of customers that we want. And then look at the cost per click, which would inform us of our total budget that we would need. And a similar analysis was done from a CPM perspective, where we look at the total number of viewers that is needed to get the total number of customers that we need, rather than the total number of clicks that we need to get the total number of customers that we need. And based off of that analysis, we determined that the budget for the campaign should be around $360 to $600, which is used with some generous assumptions, which would provide enough cushion for us for any unexpected events that would happen throughout the campaign.
Now, if we had followed the plan in the previous slide and followed it to the letter with the combination of organic and paid ads, we would have been able to generate a range of these results shown before you. So with the budget that we had, it follows set trends based on people who were already following us beforehand and the engagement that we already had and were planning on acting on through the SMART goal that we'd set in the budget. Between these factors, we would have been able to reach this these amount of people with the budget that we had and continue our engagement.
And so finally, our takeaways. Of course, our project did not go exactly as we had hoped. There were many different times where we fall into different categories of problems that we were trying to fix. But I think we were able to achieve some of the results that we were looking for as well, while not being able to fully follow through with them. A lot of the key issues that we found were lack of communication, language barrier, and letting go of some of these opportunities too easily. A lot of the consequences came from the social media team and then multiple different individuals bouncing us back and forth. So what we learned to be most important from this project is the importance of persistence. Language and responsiveness aside, there are many times where we were kind of lenient on timely problems and responses to the cafe, but not all of which were necessarily the faults of ours. But it is unfortunate that they were implementing a new social media team and unwilling to cooperate in the end. But I think that some of the advertisements that we made and also the overall plan that we had created would have well suited the cafe and its needs in the end. And we personally feel like there was a lot to be taken away from this project. So maybe the real marketing lesson was the friends that we made along the way, as said by our Professor Jeff. So we thank you very much.
Thank you.